This is the Oppo Find N2 Flip, the company's first globally available foldable phone. It's a compact one, just like the Galaxy Z Flip 4, so look out Samsung. I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's see what the Oppo Find N2 Flip is all about in our full review. Oppo has made a couple of foldable phones already, the Find N and Find N2, but they were exclusive to the Chinese market. The Find N2 Flip takes things international, and is Oppo's first foldable with a compact flip design. It's a clamshell design that at first glance is nearly identical to what you get with Samsung's Galaxy Z Flip 4, but there are some differences here. The most notable is the large outer cover display, which you use while the screen is folded. It's a 3.3-inch AMOLED with a 720p resolution and Gorilla Glass 5 protection. For these sorts of flip phones, this is the largest outer display on the market, much bigger than the 1.9-inch one on the Z Flip 4. In comparison, the Huawei P50 Pocket's 1-inch outer screen seems tiny. And even the Moto Razr 2022's cover display falls a bit short at 2.7 inches. The bigger the better, right? And a larger screen should bring more utility, but aesthetically, perhaps the large size is not quite as elegant. Another difference between the Find N2 Flip and the Galaxy Z Flip 4 is the hinge design. Here you get what Oppo calls a new generation flexion hinge. It's rated for over 200,000 actuations, and it can support the phone at any angle between 45 and 110 degrees. The hinge is a bit different from what you see from Samsung. Thanks to it, the Find N2 Flip folds flat, with no gap in between the two halves. The difference is also apparent when you're using the foldable inner display. The crease where it folds over is much more subtle here and hard to notice unless you're looking for it. Other than that, the Find N2 Flip's design comes from basically the same mold as the other flip phones on the market. Ours is in the Moonlight Purple colorway, which is rather glossy, though the Astral Black option has a frosted finish. One neat accent is the wavy pattern on the hinge, together with the Oppo logo. What you won't get here is IP-rated waterproofing. The Galaxy Flip remains the only one around with that sort of protection. Let's talk more about the N2 Flip's inner display. It's a 6.8-inch foldable AMOLED with a 1080p resolution and 120Hz refresh rate. This display is sharp, and you get those deep AMOLED blacks. I've already mentioned the subtlety of the crease. Plus, the colors are quite accurate, and there's support for HDR10+ as well. The brightness is impressive here. We measured a maximum of 550 nits with a manual slider, and this can boost to over 1000 nits in auto mode in bright sun. And when it comes to the refresh rate, the inner display can remain at 120Hz to smooth out your swiping and scrolling, and then it dials down when idling to save energy. We observed it dropping to 60Hz, but Oppo claims it can adjust all the way down to 1Hz. You can get the phone with 256 or 512 gigs of storage on board, but that isn't expandable through microSD. And the Find N2 Flip has a pair of stereo speakers for your audio. They have very good loudness, and the sound quality is okay. The mids are strong here, but there's not much bass.
I'm wide awake, but you're a nightmare.
You can wake up and unlock the phone using the side-mounted fingerprint reader built into the power button. And as a foldable, the Find N2 Flip brings software features you won't find on a typical phone. For example, the additional functionality of the second screen. It features an always-on display by default, but unlock the phone and you'll get a basic UI, including quick toggles and notifications, the camera interface, and various widgets. The cover screen is quite customizable through settings. You can switch up the looks and the widgets, and even add an interactive pad. Besides the cover screen, you get some features that take advantage of the folding mechanism. For example, if you fold the phone halfway while playing video from YouTube, it'll expand to take up the whole half of the screen. This is also true for the viewfinder of the camera interface, and this unlocks a camcorder mode when shooting video that you can show off to your friends. Something else that your friends might find useful is the preview you can enable on the cover screen, so your subjects can see themselves as you shoot them. And you can also use the cover screen as a viewfinder in order to take a picture of yourself with the rear cameras, so you can snap a quick selfie with the rear cameras without having to unfold the device. Besides that, the rest of the software experience is pretty familiar here. It's Oppo's ColorOS 13 on top of Android 13, basically the same that you'd get on any recent Oppo, Realme, or OnePlus phone. However, the Find N2 Flip is Oppo's first phone to offer 4 years of major ColorOS updates and 5 years of security updates. That's among the longest support in any Android phone. You can find out more about the specific features here in our dedicated video about Realme UI 4.0, which is practically identical. The chipset of the Find N2 Flip is a bit different from what you'd find on most flagship phones. Rather than a high-end Snapdragon, it's a Dimensity 9000 Plus from Mediatek, which is their top-shelf silicon. In CPU benchmarks, the Oppo falls behind rivals like the Galaxy Z Flip 4 and the Moto Razr 2022, which are running on a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1. In graphics tests it does fare a bit better, but the Samsung still has it beat. That's not to say that the performance is bad though. It's still flagship grade, and there's plenty of power here for heavy gaming. And even better, the thermal management here is much better than the Snapdragon-equipped flip phones. The Find N2 Flip has another advantage over the Z Flip 4 and Moto Razr, a considerably larger 4300 mAh battery. In our battery life tests, the Find N2 Flip earned a great endurance rating of 97 hours. It's better than the Galaxy in screen-on tests, and smokes the rest of the competition overall. The phone supports 44-watt charging, but comes with a 67-watt adapter. With it, we were able to charge from 0 to 62% in half an hour. There is no wireless charging here. Now onto the cameras. The Find N2 Flip has a 50-megapixel main cam on the back, plus an 8-megapixel ultra-wide cam. The main cam's photos come out at 12.5 megapixels by default, due to pixel binning. These shots are great, with very good detail, pleasant-looking colors, plenty of contrast, low noise, and excellent dynamic range. Portraits from the main cam are excellent as well. The subject detection is great, the default blur level looks very natural, and the HDR works well. There is a 2x zoom button in the viewfinder, and this is the digital crop from the main cam. There's heavy sharpening applied, and noticeable noise, but these are still usable. The ultra-wide cam's 8-megapixel photos are alright. The field of view is wide enough, and there's good dynamic range too, but the photos are a bit soft and noisy. In low light conditions, the Find N2 Flip will automatically apply night mode processing to its photos. Those from the main cam are likable. They're well exposed with wide dynamic range, good shadow development, and well-contained highlights. Colors are nicely saturated, and the detail level is good too. Our only complaint was the heavy sharpening in details like foliage. Toggling on the dedicated night mode will get you much the same result. The ultra-wide cam also gets the auto night mode treatment in the dark. The results aren't great though. You do get well-saturated colors, but the dynamic range leaves more to be desired, with some unsuccessfully contained highlights and soft underexposed shadows. Now let's move on to selfies. There is the option to shoot them in the same way as a typical smartphone, with the Find N2 Flip's 32-megapixel front-facing cam, which has autofocus. If the lighting is good, these photos come out with an impressive level of detail. Skin tones look nice, and the dynamic range is excellent too. And like I mentioned earlier, you can shoot your selfies using the rear cameras instead. The quality from the main cam is of course great, and it can handle more challenging lighting much better than the dedicated selfie cam. We did discover something odd though. If you take a selfie with the main camera, the photo will look different than a regular photo of you with the same camera. It seems that when you switch the camera UI to the cover screen for a selfie, you enable a sort of selfie mode, with a brighter exposure, finer detail, and more lifelike skin tones. Videos can be recorded with the main cam in up to 4K at 30 FPS. You can't record in 4K when the selfie mode on the cover screen is active though. The 4K footage you get otherwise is okay, with good dynamic range and a respectable level of detail, but the rendition seems over-processed. The colors are also muted compared to the stills. The ultra-wide cam is limited to 1080p resolution. It's decent, with an average level of detail, good contrast, and okay dynamic range. Electronic stabilization is available on both cameras, and is praiseworthy, smoothing things out quite well. In low light, the Find N2 Flip's main camera is actually pretty capable. Detail is rather good, and the dynamic range is respectable. So, that's the Find N2 Flip. Oppo came to the global foldable scene ready to impress, and their debut device is competitive when it comes to the hinge design and the flatness of the crease. There's an excellent main cam and great battery life, and it stands out from the crowd with its large cover display. A major competitor is the Galaxy Z Flip 4, which does have waterproofing, wireless charging, and a better ultra-wide cam. But still, the Find N2 Flip gives it a run for its money, and it's worth recommending if you're after a flip foldable. Thanks for watching. If you're after alternatives to the Find N2 Flip, of course the first on the list is the Galaxy Z Flip 4. Another option is the Moto Razr 2022. Let us know what you guys think, and I'll see you on the next one.